switch, if you switch, you can switch, but you both have to be in agreement.
It's fine.
Okay, and then, now we're going to skip that next weekend, okay? And then go to the last weekend. Who is left? And these are going to be the people who also aren't here.
November 23rd.
Okay, skip to November 20. What is it?
22nd.
The Saturday, the 22nd. So, Gabby,
Willa.
Meg, and Willa. Okay, perfect. Who's left? Who here is doesn't have a time slot? You're just going the 22nd on the Saturday, right? Now, who's left? Who's not here? Brooke. Put Brooke on the 23rd. Emily. Put Emily on the 23rd.
Wait, who's on the 22nd?
I think the 22nd is Gabby, Willa, and Megan.
Gabby, Willa, and Megan. It's a Saturday. Then Emily, Brooke, and is that it? Somebody
Brooke
count.
and Emily are the only two not here.
They're the only two not here. So somebody count up the number of people. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 17. Okay, so that's it. So the last bit. Okay. Okay, you got that?
And did Louis switch? Everybody?
No.
Or he's still, okay. He stopped it.
Got stuck.
All right, so that's it. That's very important. That's a huge milestone in the teacher check. So now you have a date with Destiny. You know, you're going to be the yoga teacher that day. So let's talk about what the class is going to be like, right? Okay? Let's talk about what the class is going to be like. So let's go into the page which says controlling external circumstances in this book. It's towards the end is all I can say. Somebody go to the table of contents. Toward 72. Controlling external circumstances. Yes. Yeah, sure. Turn the air on. Turn it on. I prefer the air to be on a little bit than the fan. The fans tend to blow things around a little bit. So. Okay, cool. So this is the lecture on the page 72, controlling external circumstances. So this is some of the stuff that I'm looking for you guys, not looking for, but some of the parts of how to make your class successful. Backing up just a little bit, I want you to think a little more strongly tonight about your sequence. Just think about it. And tomorrow I'm going to give you a little more time here in the classroom we've already done it twice, but a little bit more to start to fill in these sequences of what they're going to be, so you've got more on paper. The key to the entire thing, it's going to be a 1-hour class. It can be anything you want. It can be an easier session, harder session. It can have headstand, shoulder stand, or not. Sun A, no. Sun B, no. Whatever you want. Doesn't matter. I'm going to take the class. Doesn't matter. So think about what your class is going to be like and you design it. But you have to have it written down. Then, once you write it down, I'll give you some more time tomorrow, and that won't be the last time for the people who aren't going. The people who are going, that's like the last time. For the people who are going Saturday, I'm going to have to meet with you guys on Wednesday night or some other time during the week, and we're going to talk about your sequence. And I'm going to go through your whole sequence with you.
How much time should we schedule for this?
When? It's got to be a 1-hour class, so somehow you have to figure out how much that is. Now there's leeway. If it's 5 minutes short or 5 minutes over, I don't care. You're not getting graded on this. All you have to do is do it. That's it. You just have to make it through. It's not like I'm going to go, you know what, you said left instead of right when we went into Warrior 2, so you failed. It's not like that. It's not like that. You're going to see everybody's class. You're going to love it. You're going to forgive the person. You're going to be so happy to be taking it. You're going to cheer for them. It's going to be a huge breakthrough. But you have to teach the class. If it's less than 45 minutes, I would suggest adding another sequence in there. And you're going to have to learn how long it is by practice teaching on, your boyfriends or friends or each other, or going through it yourself and seeing how long it takes you to do it. So you'll get a sense of the time in that way. I know you don't have a sense of how long the class would be in terms of the time of it yet. So this is going to be written down, your plan. Now, maybe you forget something, maybe you add something in, but at least you have the plan written down. And I'll go over the plan with each of you one-on-one. You'll say, does this work? And I'll say, wait a second. We're laying on our back, and now we're in Warrior 2. What's our transition? So I'll be able to see stuff like that in your plan and help you with it before you teach the class. So that's the number one thing that you're going to have in your plan. Now, in terms of the lecture on page 72, this is all the stuff you need to know, practical stuff on how to be a teacher. I call this lecture Controlling External Conditions. You as the teacher are responsible for setting up the teaching space to provide the best possible experience for all the students. So you're the ringleader of the party. You're the hostess of a party. So it's not just about making one or two guests feel comfortable. It's about making all of your guests feel comfortable. And there might be a compromise. Some of your guests right now feel cold. And they say, can we turn the AC off? Some of your guests are like, but we were just hot. Keep it on. Turn it off. Keep it on. You're the boss. This is your party. So you have to manage the expectations and keep a smile on your face and try to make it right for as many people as possible. So the direction of the mats. The most basic way of setting up a room is in rows. You know, most rooms are rectangular. Rows and columns, that's a rectangular way. That's the best use of space. Where you put the front of the room and the back of the room is up to you. I walked in here the other day, and there was that Kundalini yoga. Katie was teaching a Kundalini yoga workshop, and she was over here as the front of the room and had the mats facing this way. So what's maybe a benefit of doing that? Facing east, I like that, and especially if you point that out. What else? What's another benefit of this?
You can maybe put 3 rows on
The amount of space is the same. In terms of where people come in the room and where the door is situated, why is this kind of better? When people come in late, they can just throw their mat down and they're already naturally in the back of the room. As opposed to if I said, I'm going to teach the class from over here, and this is going to be the front of the room, and we're all doing a meditation in the very beginning of the class, and here comes somebody, you know, walking in, oh, sorry, and walks all the way through the room to the back of the room. So it's better for people to come in late if the door is towards the back of the room. They'll like that too. Now, what's the drawback of setting up? What if I had the classes of the teacher training, and what if I always put my mat down right here and taught the whole teacher training from over here?
People in the back are like, away.
Hey, Abby, how are you over there? Can you guys see me? It's kind of dark over here, and I'm kind of separated from you, you know, so watch out for that. You don't want to be in the dark either. So most of the time with this room, the way the shape is, I would say most of the time the teacher goes here. Most of the time I'd say the teacher is here. Don't you think? This is where Amy always teaches from. Sharon puts her mat down. But then they walk around. But they might throw their mat down and then they walk around. So as a teacher, you guys are probably all going to naturally be the teacher and put your mat down here. And we're going to line up here and to a certain degree in these rows. I'm assuming. But it's up to you. If you want to reconfigure the whole thing, that's completely up to you. This room is not really big enough to reconfigure. This room, you could set it up almost any different direction, right? You could be the teacher anywhere. It kind of works. I've seen teachers face this way, face that way, face this way. I always have people facing this way in my classes. Or you could do a circle. We do the circle. We do a circle on Wednesday nights sometimes, right? What's the benefit of a circle? You can see everybody. There's more community, right? You can look at everybody. And the test of whether you have a good circle is if you can see everybody's eyes without feeling like, hey, where are you? Okay? What's another benefit of the circle?
The energy.
Good vibe.
The energy circulates, yeah? What else? Think spiritually.
Community.
You know, you can make a lot of points like that. Everybody's equal, community, the circle of life, the wheel of life, you know, we're all spokes in the wheel of
And the
life.
teacher's like the sun.
The teacher's like the sun, exactly, everybody's orbiting around the sun. Yeah. You can make some points like that. Now, what's the drawbacks of a circle? What's the negatives of it?
Looking at other people, what they're doing, competition maybe, because you can see.
And also, yeah, you can't like help people
Space.
without getting.
Yeah, if we're in a circle and we're across from each other and you open to your right and I open to my right, you know, you're not a mirror image of each other, so it can be a little confusing. And also space constraints. Could you do a circle in here? Could we have a circle class? That'd be crazy. But if you have a big room and a few people, circle can be nice. Have you guys ever been in a class where the teacher did it?
Yeah, we did sun salutations, someone told me
Yeah.
I had to be in a circle.
It's nice if the teacher wants to practice along with the group, it can be nice. The teacher's doing it too. Everybody's facing the same. There's a good sense of. I will say if you're going to do a circle and you think people are going to come in late, make a spot or two that you know they could go into, because what will happen is if you have the circle and here comes somebody 10 minutes late, they're not in the inner circle. You know, so they're in the out. So they'll try and set their mat outside the circle, and you can't allow that. You have to invite them into the party. You're the hostess of the party. You can't really allow that. So then everybody has to kind of move their mat and make a bigger circle, and so that can happen. I like one row. So say the class was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 9 people, right? I would put my mat here, and I would say I wouldn't allow 2 people to go over there, 1 person to go in her favorite spot over there, 9 people all. I wouldn't allow that. I would say, hey guys, it's going to be easier for me to teach. It's going to be a better class. Can I get you guys to just line up 1, 2, 3, 4, right in a row like that? Then when I do assists, I can just work straight down the row, straight down the row, straight down the row. And you know, you can stagger the mats. It doesn't have to be crowded like that. But if you have a big room, like this room, sometimes I come in on Tuesday morning, and that's a class that I don't get that many people in. And maybe I have 12 people or 15 people. 12 people in this room is small, right? And here's 2 people over there, they're chatting. Then some person goes to their favorite spot over here, and it's like I have to teach the class like over here, then I have to walk over here. So it makes it harder for you if you don't kind of organize the people. Now, you'll have to overcome, this is my spot, this is where I always practice. Right? Do you know that game? So you got to say, well, okay, you can stay there. Maybe everybody else can line up, you know, whatever. You got to, if you're going to make people move their mat, just get ready to convince them, keep a smile on your face, don't get angry, you know. And if you're, because people like to put their mat down and then they're like, do not move my mat. This is where I practice. But the teacher, they will allow it. You know what I'm saying? The teacher, they'll say, if you say, hey, would you move over, please? They'll do it.
Sorry, Emily said that the 23rd she's gonna be in Germany, I think she said, so if we could move her with someone, if someone wants to switch with her on the 22nd.
Can somebody switch that Saturday or Sunday? Who is on?
The Gabby, Megan, or Willow.
You could do it, Willa.
Okay.
Get Willa around. Great yogi. Okay, so where you put the mats, the direction of the mats matters in terms of the feng shui of the group energy of the class. It is ultimately your decision. It's not the tail wagging the dog. It's not up to the student to go, I always put my mat here, and that's it. You're the teacher, you know? So you can ask people to do stuff. Hopefully they'll respect you and go along with it. People do get stuck that their mat has to be here.
It's good to move it around.
It's good to move around. I notice we never do, but Tiffany's always on my right. Luis, I'm always here. You guys are always there. It's good to move around though. But even teachers get in that. You guys notice Paula. Where does Paula go?
Always on by the door.
She's always in that same spot right there, you know. So teachers move. Shouldn't matter, but it seems to. Does it matter to you guys? Do you guys really need to be in your spot?
No.
That's good. If you have a student who really needs to be in their spot, be nice to them. But if there ever comes a time when you're gonna have to ask them to move, you have to just go, hey, I know that that's not your spot, but for today, would you mind moving over? I only have 4 people, and your spot is over there, and it's dark over there. And we're gonna do the class over here.
I have a train one of mine that she always, when we walk in, she's like, please choose a spot that you
Yeah.
will never choose. You know.
That's cute. I like that a lot. The yoga teacher says, everybody change spots. Change to another place. You know, that's nice. I like that a lot. It's good. It's like going to church. Did you guys ever go to church or synagogue? You always sit in the same place.
Yep.
You can change it up. All right. The temperature of the room. Again, who's in charge of the temperature of the room? The students or the teacher? The teacher's in charge of the temperature of the room. And this is a biggie. Of all the things that you could have, music, lighting, direction of the mats, this is the thing that's going to bring up the most for the students. Why?
Because they don't want to be hot.
They don't want to be hot. Nor do some want to be cold. So they're attached to that. So the best way to have a yoga class is no AC. Heat is better than coldness. Room temperature, a natural breeze is great. You may need to explain why it's better to turn off the AC or keep the doors and windows closed during the asana practice. Educate people about the benefits of feeling hot and sweaty while practicing asana. In cold climates, you can use mild heat or space heaters. Turn it off for final relaxation and cover the students with blankets. So there's a lot here about the temperature of the room, okay? So our studio here is not a hot yoga studio. Hot yoga studios are where we would be turning on the heat and turn up to 100 degrees or even higher before you even walk in the room. What's the benefit of that?
You sweat
Detox.
better. Your muscles get warm, so you stretch where you sweat. Detox.
I mean, you're warmed up right away. You walk in that room and you are warmed up. It feels kind of good to your muscles, you know? It might deplete you of energy, but you kind of feel like you're going to stretch out, right? You guys like hot yoga?
I like
Yeah.
it. It's
I feel like
hot
I'm
here.
being every time.
It's hot. It's definitely hot.
I black out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The benefits of hot yoga, I would say, are that it's a little safer in a certain way because the muscles are warm. You don't need to do a whole bunch of warming up. You're sweating pretty quickly in the first few poses. What are the drawbacks of hot yoga?
The muscles get really cold right after.
The smell.
The
smell.
Horrible. Stink. Some people it's too intense for, you black out. You might go too far because you're overwhelmed. Definitely. Agreed. Agreed. You gotta be careful about that. I agree with that. I'll tell you another benefit of hot yoga that's in the yoga world. The classes can be shorter. From an owner of a studio perspective, hot yoga classes are 1 hour, maybe an hour and 10 or 15 with relaxation. But they're not 90 minutes. And a student will pay, did you know a student will pay the same amount of a 90-minute class as they will for an hour
Yep.
class? That's proven. You don't have to own a studio and go, this is a 1 hour class, so this class costs 12. This is a 90-minute class, so this class costs 18. You don't have to do that. You charge 18 for them. So from a studio owner's perspective, you can pack more classes into the day of the same cost. And it's 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. And some people like that. They go, I like hot yoga. It's 1 hour and then I leave and go do something else. You know? That's all they really want to spend exercising. I'd say that's one of the main benefits of hot yoga, that you can do it for shorter.
I look for the longer classes.
Right. So once you get in great shape or whatever, you want it. So the drawbacks of the hot yoga, for me, the number one drawback of the hot yoga is you can't really teach inversions. It's not good to teach forearm stand, handstand, headstand. You could teach shoulder stand. Nobody's going to want. But because you're blanking out, you're like, seeing spots and lights coming at you really quick. You don't want to be in forearm stand.
You're also soaking wet.
You're soaking wet. You don't want to be. Look, there's a kitty. What are you doing over here? So you don't want to be in the headstand and go, whoa, whoa, feigning, boom. So inversions are de-emphasized, which I don't like. I love inversions. So sweaty yoga, or hot yoga, they don't do inversions as much.
I feel like it gets hot enough when you turn the AC.
This
hot
studio,
here. Yeah,
it does
exactly.
here. If this is in
That's all we
Chicago,
need.
it doesn't. It doesn't if this is in New York or
yeah.
colder temperatures. That's why hot yoga is money in the bank up in cold climates. Because everybody's freezing their ass off all winter.
I didn't think about
I'm from Illinois. It was cold there. In the winter, back when I was in college and growing up there, what did everybody do all winter long? Hibernate and eat pizza. And you'd come out of spring, you'd be like 10 pounds fatter. Because you haven't done any exercise. So hot yoga revolutionized exercise in the winter of cold climates. People go in and say, okay, I'm going to do a 3-month unlimited. January, February, March, I'm going to get into good shape. And it works. My friends who own a studio in Chicago, they offer that all the time. Lose weight this winter. You're going to be 3-month package. Here's the price. And they get 50 people signing up. And they teach hot yoga, so you walk in, it's warm. You're finally warm. Your hands have been cold for 2 weeks. Your toes are habitually cold. Your apartment's cold because you don't want to pay the bill. You go in, you're finally warm. There's some benefit to that. So up north, and like I say, there's so many people who've made a lot of money with hot yoga studios up north. And all you really need, what I say, is 3 things to be successful at hot yoga. First of all, you need a room, you need a space. Then you need a halfway decent sequence, which all of you are going to have coming out the first day after you teach. You'll have a good enough sequence. You need to turn on the heat, and you need a playlist because they play music in hot yoga, and people like that a lot. That's it. And I see this happening so much. The people who are successful, there's people who have like 40, 50 people in their classes, and they're like the most popular yoga teachers in that town. And they have no idea about anything that we've learned about non-duality, breath retentions, sadhana, any spiritual, bhakti, 4 main paths. They have no base, they're just probably got lucky with a nice personality, good location, nice time slot, and that the exercise movement is on the upswing. It's popular, it feels good, they have a good location, they have parking. So don't think if you go up north and you see somebody with 50 people that they're a guru or something. They'll probably think that they are. But they might just have a nice parking lot and their studio's warm and they have a good sense of music.
Do we have to have a playlist for our class?
No, you don't have to play music, but you can if you want. Yeah, and that's true of any yoga class. If the sounds, we'll get to the music part of it in a second, and I'll cover that whole thing. So the temperature of the room, do you guys like doing yoga in AC?
No.
It's horrible. It sucks. You never break through. It hurts. You walk out of the class going, you know what, I feel exactly the same as when I walked in. You're still tight back here. You never broke through. So when I say you have to educate the people, they know this more or less now. But when we first started, I would get people who'd come into my class and they'd be like, hey, can you turn the AC? It's just really warm here. And there's 40 people in the class, and 1 person wants the AC on. So I would just then start to talk to the group and say, hey, why is it hot? Your muscles are warming up. Where are you feeling the heat? In your own body, your spine is heating up. That's the conduit of the nervous system. That's good. You want that energy. We feel energy as heat in our bodies. You're sweating. You're detoxing. You're losing weight. Now, I know it's taking you out of your comfort zone. But that's part of what spiritual practice of yoga is to go out of your comfort zone and learn that you can still breathe, that you can make it through. Now, having said that, if you think that you need to leave the room because you're nauseated, please take a break at any time. That's fine. But we do have to keep the heat on with the windows closed and the doors closed for the majority of the asana practice. I just start talking like that. That's what I call educating the people as to why. You just keep a real informative, friendly, but firm decision. And I don't like teachers who say, somebody says, it's really warm in here. Can you open the window? And they just go, no. And then they put like, in Warrior 2, you don't want to be like that. You have to educate. People, yoga is an education. You're a teacher, they're a student. You have to educate them why they're feeling hot, why it's okay that they're feeling hot, why it's actually good that when they come to the yoga studio, okay? So that's what I mean by talking to the people. In cold climates, you can use mild heater, space heaters. I wrote this before the major influx of hot yoga. But this studio, have you guys ever been here in the winter when it's cold? There are some mornings, you know. Have you ever been here in the morning? You guys haven't been here in the winter time where you walk in and it's maybe 55 degrees overnight, and you walk in and it's cold, and you don't really get it. The class has like 8 people in it. You don't get a good sweat. So Sharon, I coached her up on this early on. I said, why don't you buy your own space heater, don't make Green Monkey buy it, and then bring it to the class with you on the cold mornings and plug it in. And one space heater that's about this big is enough to heat this room. By 40 minutes into it, it's toasty in here with that one space heater. And she started to bring that, and she would get more people. She would get the people on the cold morning. It like helped her retain the students and draw the people, just because she made that effort on her own, you know. And it wasn't hot yoga, but it wasn't freezing cold either. So you can bring a little space heater. Now, the nicest thing that you could do is on that cold morning practice, you get the people heated up and they feel warm and they heat up. Then they go into the relaxation and you cover them with the blanket. You know how we've done? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Blanket over them without the tassels on their face, over their feet. Feng shui the blanket so that it's not covering one foot and not the other. Cover up their eyes if possible, put the knees underneath the bolster, and then just slightly let some cool air in, like open the door, and it'll be like taking a toasty nap underneath your comforter with cool air on the outside of your bed. And people go deep into relaxation. They'll like that a lot. They'll come back to your class. So file that and remember that. That's a great... And the other thing is, I've sometimes done the blankets over you. With a group this big, it's better to just toss the blankets out in front of the people, and then when you say final relaxation, put the blanket over you. Everybody does it themselves. It'll take you less time. You see what I'm saying? If there's 5 people, you could do it. If there's 27 people, just put the blanket near their mat. Cleanliness of the room. Floor should be clean, the space should be tidy and uncluttered. Okay, you know, this is my karma in life. I'm always trying to get the owners of Green Monkey to understand. Keep it clean. Look, I see hair right there. I don't want to see hair.
What do you want to say, scout out the hair?
Yes. Yeah. Search for hairs and back it up. I'll tell you, and this is part of being a successful yoga teacher, but also owning a studio. You want there to be hair and sweat on the floor because that means you're doing volume. I'm telling you, the owner of the studio, he wants there to be 57 people in my class on Saturday morning. So I always tell him, with that comes great responsibility called you have to clean up before the noontime class because you want 20 people to come into the noontime class. And they're going to, if you don't clean up, how is it to walk into a room that's not cleaned up?
Gross.
Do you want to pay $20?
No.
You won't come back. You won't come back. You won't like that. And you'll step in a little puddle. And how is that when you step in a puddle? It's a puddle of somebody else's sweat. Now you just hope that it's a puddle that was left by somebody's water bottle.
Yeah.
You pray that. But if not, you're stepping in a puddle of somebody else's sweat. It's sick.
Isn't that how it is for you when you walk around the class?
A little bit, but I don't step in the puddles. I do sometimes feel like the floor is starting to get condensation on it, and I might quit walking around so much. But I'll tell you what, in my 20 years of teaching, I've never had any foot fungus or any jumbo foot or any kind of bad. I've never had it, so knock wood. I don't know why, but I've never had my feet. I don't get pedicures all the time. They're not sick and gross. They're okay. So, you'll see if any of you ever own your own studio, clean it, clean it, clean it. Just keep it clean, and you'll have students. It's really one of the most important things of retaining people. And I tell the owners of Green Monkey this all the time. You can market, you can buy advertising, you can get the people in the door. But if they don't have a good experience here in terms of cleanliness, and who are the customers mostly of yoga studios? Women. And in your house, do you let the place get filthy in the bathroom with yuckiness behind the toilet and stuff? And no. So women have a certain degree of looking at, looking for filth and not tolerating it. So it's really important. And which of the niyamas is cleanliness? Saucha, that's it. Willa, you're nailing it today. I never hear anything, and then I get a couple great answers from Willa. She's listening, she's paying attention here. Okay, now, cleanliness of the teacher. We talked about this with Saucha. At least wash your hands and hopefully your feet and maybe your face. Professional yoga attire adds credibility. Appropriate clothing for corporate, school, or institutional classes. Body odor and bad breath should be minimized. So, such a crazy topic. Okay. Do you agree that you should wash your hands?
Yeah.
It's best, deodorant and all that. It's best often before my 6 o'clock Monday, Wednesday class. Very often. I take a shower at 5 o'clock at home. Clean up, put on brand new clothes that I've not been wearing the whole day, sweating those clothes out. It's just, down here as a guy, I mean, I don't know about you, but I change clothes sometimes 2-3 times a day. And so, yeah, you just run through sweaty clothes. And, I can't wear the shirt all day and not have it stink. You don't want to be the stinky yoga teacher.
Yeah.
Appropriate clothing. I mean, women, I've never seen any of you guys come to class without, you go to Lululemon, you buy some pants. So wherever you get your pants in, all of you dress totally appropriate. Men, you got to wear shorts or underwear that are like, kind of like this type of thing. Have you ever seen a person in yoga with running shorts on?
No. Yeah.
I mean, you see it all. You're like, okay, lay down and do a hamstring stretch. And they're like this. And it's just like, you see everything. So as a student, if a student chooses to come like that, that's up to them. But as the teacher, you cannot show up like that.
Oh.
What?
Some people are from California, nudist colonies. It's crazy. You'll see it all. Guys, you'll see the guys with the running shorts with no undies. They just don't know that they're going to be like in Warrior 3, like this.
No.
And they're
Calculated.
Or they're doing it on purpose.
It's really bad. It's bad. So dress appropriately. Now, if you ever do teach yoga in a corporation, a school, or an institutional type of class, how should you dress there?
Maybe not so
Some
tight.
pants.
Yeah, maybe not the tight Lululemon pants and the halter top. Not a lot of skin. You can wear Lululemon pants. I think Lululemon pants are actually accepted in the outside world. But a little looser might be better.
Maybe not like bright colors.
Yeah, I think you can still wear bright colors, but you can't wear so much the halter top
Yeah.
alone. And for guys, I would say you can't dress like a hippie. You have to kind of dress like a golfer or something like that. Like this is yoga wear. This is all from Lulu. I can stretch it and stuff, but I could walk into a corporate office and teach a class like this because you're going to ask the people to take their shoes off and stuff. So I used to have people, and you'd send them to a corporate class, and they'd wear like flowing robes, and they got the Krishna medallions, and they got wife beater on, and they have armpit hair, and you're like, are you serious? That's how you're going to the law firm, that I set you up the class with, that pays you $150 for an hour?
Shouldn't they kind of expect that? It's yoga. Yeah.
It's still corporate yoga, and when you go into corporate yoga, the people, they don't, you can't dress like you own the yoga studio. There's dressing at the yoga studio, dressing at the gym, and the corporate yoga. There's kind of 3 different layers there. So, I think you got to dress a little for success, even in yoga teaching. And women, all you guys, women know how to do that. Us guys, some of the clueless in terms of that. Body odor and bad breath should be minimized. Aromatherapy. We haven't talked about this yet.
It's great.
All right, sit tight here for a second. I'm going to get into the aromatherapy. We'll have a little talk about it. Don't leave. Do not go to Hugo Fresh. Who wants a little bit of aromatherapy? Put this on your wrist like you would perfume and then go back and forth on your wrist. What is this? This one is called Muscle Comfort. Muscle Comfort. Like it? This is okay. This is called muscle comfort. But basically, if you gotta get enough to smell it. So, in terms of using essential oils, you just go to Whole Foods, whatever, pick up lavender. This one right here is lemon eucalyptus. And this one that I have here is Muscle Comfort.
Which one did you give us?
Muscle Comfort. It's a good one. So you can put it on yourself. You can put it on your own just like this and then walk around the room. Now, some people will not like that. There's a certain percentage who are like, that's too strong. You know? But most people, don't you like it? Do you like it? Most everybody likes it. Does anybody not really care for it? It's like too strong or sensitive? Nobody here? Occasionally in a big class of 25 people, a couple people like it. No thank you. You know? So putting it on your own body and walking around is kind of nice.
Yeah.
You teach the class, and that's putting it on, offering it to the students, just like I did to you guys, is also kind of nice. Avoid putting it on your hands and then touching the students, you know, because it's an oil that has a certain burning. If you touch, transfer, especially to the face or whatever. There's a couple other ways of diffusing. You can buy a diffuser. You plug it in, like an electric diffuser. You plug it in, you pour the oil in there, and it just like lets it out. You can set that up in front of the air conditioner and close it, and it'll make like a vanilla smell.
Don't get it.
Really nice. What? It makes you hungrier? Yeah. Whatever. You can do lemon. Lemon is a good one to shoot around a room. So that's another way to do it.
Yeah,
You can buy a diffuser that burns it. You can buy a diffuser where you light something underneath and it lets it out. That's a little bit like burning something and gets tipped over, fire hazard. And also some oil people say you shouldn't burn the oil to diffuse it. You know, it shouldn't be burned. There's a couple other ways to diffuse it. There was a time in our other shala, and we would make up a mixture in a plastic spray bottle of eucalyptus oil and cold water, And then when the class got really hot, but the people went to the floor, you just walk through the room like this. And everybody feels this kind of cool mist of eucalyptus, and they're like, or mint. We would do mint a lot with that too. Minty, cool water being sprayed in the middle.
At the beginning?
No, more like 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through it, or towards the very end when they're cooling down. In Shavasana, in Shavasana. And people loved that. Except for one girl, Courtney Just, she's going to be teaching you. One time I was spraying, I was like, shh, 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 and her head was here, and it came down, and at the end of it, she comes up, and she's like, oh, I think I had an allergic reaction, and her face is completely red. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. She's like, I don't think I can take that on my face. So some people, you can't spray stuff right on their face. But all of this, another thing, that there's a studio in Delray Beach, and they take washcloths. They go to, wherever, like Walmart or something, and buy 100 washcloths or 50 washcloths, cheapo. Then they take the washcloths and soak them in cold water that's infused with like mint or eucalyptus, okay? Then you take those and squeeze them out and roll them up and then stick them in the fridge.
They do that at a Bikram studio I went to.
It's great. You stick them in a fridge. Then at the end of the class, you hand everybody this cool over the eyes. People are like, thank you. Where's my washcloth? I need to, they'll get hooked up. And so those kind of things are making an effort. That's you making an effort, but they'll help you retain the people. So I think aromatherapies. How does Amy Rabin do the aromatherapy? She said, I'm going to pass around some essential oil or whatever at the end. I'm going to put it in your hand. If you don't want it, put your hand palm down. That's nice, right?
Yeah.
It's a really nice touch. She always does that for all the people. You smell it like that. It's kind of nice. You announce it before, and if you don't want it, put your hands facing down. So that's a nice way to do it. That's how she does it. I used to do this thing. If you take eucalyptus oil and you soak a paper towel or a piece of toilet paper, and then you can just hold it here, in like 2 or 3 breaths, it'll clear you out.
Yeah.
So I would give people those too. I would soak a couple, napkins or stuff and then hand it to people. And before pranayama, we would breathe in and out the eucalyptus oil. It's all effort. You have to try to do that. So in your classes, if you think you're going to do that, go buy some oil, put it on yourself. Ask the students if they want that beforehand.
I have a question.
Yeah.
After Shavasana, can you do pranayama?
Yes, after Shavasana, you can do pranayama. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Although you're talking about in your class that we teach here.
In any class.
In any class. Yes, the answer to that is yes. But I will say the way that people have been conditioned around our studio, if they come up out of relaxation, and they're sitting here, they're already done. They feel pretty good. They're going to expect Om 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 Namaste.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do pranayama, I would recommend doing it before final relaxation. Then let them lay back on their back and enjoy that.
I've had a class start.
Okay.
You can do pranayama at the beginning, the middle, or the end. Any old place is good for pranayama. So what else we got up here? Where were we? 72? Aromatherapy. Perfume is not good. There's no problem with that anymore. In the beginning of yoga, 10, 15 years ago, you'd still have somebody show up with strong perfume, or men with cologne or whatever. Nobody does that. Incense, you guys like incense?
Yeah.
Depends.
It's some do, some don't, because it's smoky, right? It adds a smoky quality. But if you have a stinky, stinky, stinky room,
That's nice.
you can burn some before a class starts, and it kind of takes that bad smell away. Or you could smudge it with sage. You guys like that?
Yeah.
That's a good way to change the energy of a smell of a room, to use that. People will be like, oh, what are you smoking in here? Oh, this looks good. Let's pass me some of that, Everybody makes jokes like that. So, the lighting then, the lighting. What kind of lighting do we have in our studio here at Green
Wow.
Monkey? Dim. This is a darkly lit yoga studio. It is. You like that?
Yeah.
When the lights are on, I'm like,
It's been good for me to have darkly lit. All right, if you're building a yoga studio and you're having lights, I mean, your contractor is gonna, if it's a commercial space, he's gonna put these on. Yoga people hate that.
Yeah.
That's not yoga. Patrick made you practice in it last weekend.
Yeah.
So you can see you guys, it led to some of you guys thinking the practice is cold, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it was just the lighting.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a matter of doing this. Because this is very cold lighting. This is not yoga at all. This is like air. It's like I'm waiting for my bags at Miami International. So what's the, so then we have these cans, they call these in the construction world. We have these. These are also okay. They're softer, but they're okay. But like, look at down there where they end. See how dark it gets down there? It's not even. They don't provide even lighting. They're okay. In the big room, when we want to, on Wednesday night, read a book at night, it's almost impossible because this lighting is just so dim. You know what I'm saying in there? So it's okay. I would prefer if they dropped from these, what do you call these? I forgot. No, these lines that run the energy.
Tracks.
These tracks. You could buy chandeliers that are like, bigger and give you more even. I prefer if they would have dropped a couple of those there too. But
Some chandeliers.
so dimmers is best. This is best because then you can play the mood, right?
Yeah.
This yoga studio and my previous yoga studio was even darker. Miami Yoga Shala on 23rd, it was dark. And people like it. They like it. It's like, okay, day's over.
Yeah.
You ever look in here in Amy's class on Monday and Wednesday, the one that starts at 7? It's dark. Nobody's messing with nobody's, turning on the lights and messing with you. You go on your mat, it's a sanctuary. It's really nice. What's the drawback of the dark yoga studio?
You can't really see what they're doing.
As the teacher, you can't see if they're engaging muscular energy or if their foot's in the right direction or whatever. So, Elaine, the general therapist, she's like, turn on the lights, I want to see all the lights, hike up your shorts, I want to see if you're engaging, she's like, she wants to see whether you're doing it. Maybe because of me, the way that I teach, I want people to have a good experience. I just want them to feel good at the end of the class. I'm not a technician for watching you with alignment and teaching you exactly how to do the pose perfectly. Turn down the lights, put on the music. That's my style, so maybe this studio has kind of gravitated a little towards that. But you'll see, you'll go to other studios and they'll be like, no, the lights are on. It's not dark. And then occasionally they'll have a candlelit class.
Revolutionary.
Yeah. Here, basically, every nighttime class is like a candlelit. The only problem with candlelit classes, you have to get those kind of candles that are the cylinders, So when you light them, it's not like a candle out on the floor. Because people, who was saying in here that they were in a class and the tapestry catches on fire?
It was like the
That's too funny.
In Sarasota.
Wait, so what kind of candles do you want to get?
You want to get those ones that have a glass tube and the candle burns down the inside.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, if it did fall over, it would probably go out. Maybe some wax would
Don't
spill.
put it
But
by the tapestry.
yeah, even those ones would catch a tapestry on fire. But not like an open candle that gets. I've come into yoga studios and like some hippie teacher and said, we had candlelight, man, and there's just wax everywhere on the floor. They just made a mess.
Yeah.
So you don't want that either. Music. Skillful use of music can add to the quality of the experience. But notice I say skillful use of music. I'm not saying anytime you play music it adds. I'm saying the skillful, conscious use of music. Small sound systems, these are a couple little points. Small sound systems don't work well for large rooms. I've seen teachers like this. They're like, the sound system doesn't work, so I'm just going to play music on my phone here. So they'll be like this. Do, 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 do. All right, let's start the class here. Everybody come to front of the mat.
I can't hear.
and there's like 25 people. You know, I just think in that case, you have to be a teacher with no music that time. That sounds like we're listening to a radio, doesn't it?
I'd rather listen to that than
I personal preference, but I disagree. To me, this doesn't give you, because once you've had a sound system that is cranky, right? Yeah, it's to me the use of music. Have you been in the class where? And also, I believe this: don't start the class with the music on. I don't like that. I like you to start with your own voice. If you're going to do some oming, you can't be competing against music. Hit the music in the sun salutations. You can even do the first of the warm-ups with no music. Don't, in the very beginning of the class, I don't want you guys to compete with the music for the students to hear your voice as the teacher. Let them hear you as a teacher first. Then, when people start flowing, if you hit it with a track, like if you wait a little bit until even Sun B or a first flow sequence, and you hit that music and it's it hits with a serious beat. Do you guys like that?
What if you want to start with some really calming music?
Yeah.
That's nice. That can be nice, but at least a minute or so, just talk in the beginning, welcoming the people, introducing yourself. Don't hit the music and then start talking. But yeah, some whale sounds or something like that. But do you know what I'm saying? I mean, have you been in the class and you're like, doing the warm-ups, and there's, the teacher's just talking. You're doing the warm-ups. You're doing the warm-ups. You're getting warmed up. You're starting to feel a little bit better. And then, kind of all of a sudden, the teacher turns the lights down. You're starting to hit into a flow. The music hits, and it's a cool song, and you start going, and everybody else is moving too. And you feel energy, right?
Yeah.
It's like carries you. The whole energy of the class carries you in the music. That's a nice moment for people. That's a cool way to try to play it. So I try to do that as much as possible.
In my studio in Guatemala, once a month, well, they've been doing it for 3 months recently. There's this DJ, it's the best DJ in the country. He already plays New York, Chicago, and everywhere he's famous. And Jose Raul Gon DJ Gonzo, he's known locally in some points in New York and Chicago.
Cool.
And so he had this recording label, and he's friends with one of my teachers. So she came up with this idea of satsang yoga, and they bring the videos.
That's
live.
cool.
Yeah. And
People like that,
that's
right?
the day, they had to split the class in 3 because the first day they did it, the salon is maybe a little larger than this, and it was
Packed.
60 of us. You couldn't like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. People do love live music in the yoga class. The DJ or even people playing drums or tablas or people playing harmonium, Don's class, they like that. People love that. But you don't have to do that. Play just for you guys starting off a playlist is good. This is just something to file if you ever own a yoga studio down the road or anything like that. That's a great marketing idea, right?
Yeah. After that, she got more students.
Exactly. The people came back for regular classes, didn't they? Yeah. So music, choose the tracks to match the energy of the asanas being presented. Sun salutations and standing poses, upbeat music. Opening instructions are best without background music. Let the students become familiar with your voice. Final relaxation music should be etheric, no drums or rhythm or better if it's not vocals of English, like words. For final part of Shavasana and Om, silence for sure. So choose your tracks, and you guys will see. You'll love each other's playlists. You'll have fun putting it together. You'll like putting certain tracks in there. But don't put the fast, upbeat music towards the end of the class. Use that in the beginning of the class, obviously, right? And the reason I don't like a drum beat like bump, bump, or any type of in final relaxation is why? Why?
Because it's like pumping.
What did we learn about the chakras in terms of a beat with the music? What chakra does a beat? Root. It grounds you down. And final relaxation, what's the emphasis of that? You want to fly out of your body. You want to go up and be there. So don't play music that's going to ground you down when the effect that you want is to get people out of their body, okay? Generally speaking. Now, with regard to the lyrics, this is why this whole genre of yoga music, do you like it? The genre of yoga music? Chanting and stuff like that, Krishna Das and Wah and Jayutal and Deva Premal, and you familiar, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
They're great musicians that could be in bands, and they play yoga music like Om Namah Shivaya. It's good because you can play it in final relaxation, and it doesn't really have a meaning to the students. But if you put on a song that's in English, choose the words very carefully, because you can't put on like a Tracy Chapman song in final relaxation. You know, everybody's grooving, it's just like, my mom was beating me, so I had to get away. You know, nobody wants to hear that then, you know. So you can't put on songs with lyrics that have certain meaning during that relaxation time, because that's when people deserve to just relax. But you can put on music that has lyrics that they don't know the meaning to. If it's sung, you know, sweetly with a mantra, they'll like that. So you have to be skillful in your use of music. The volume of the music is a part of your skillful. Very often I see the beginning teacher turn on the playlist and then turn it off at the final ohms, and that's it. But you can make the music go up and down. You can, if you need to make a point, like this morning we were playing some really good tracks and I could see everybody was into it. And I had already said a whole bunch of stuff. So I turned up the music pretty high. And it was loud, like reggae music, and I could tell people liked it, you know. But then I wanted to make a few more points in you know, in the pigeon pose, so I turned the music down. You know, you can play it like that. There's teachers that do the music really well like that, and I'd say this is more prevalent like in California yoga. But they'll put on a track, or they'll put on a 6-minute track and maybe turn the volume up, and you're pumping through some sunset. Then they turn the music off, and they teach some more. Then you're in another part of the class, and then there's another track that they've chosen, and they put that on. So they use, it's not like a playlist that's continuous. They use the songs to have a certain effect at certain times in the class, and it can be really well done. Really well done. I had a friend of mine who's the top yoga teacher in Bali, in Kuba, and he loves music, and he's got, you know, playlists, and he's really good. And he'll like play a track and then not do it. Then he'll say something very inspiring. Then he'll have some recording of like Martin Luther King, like I had a dream, you know, and you're like listening to this type of thing, and that runs for about like a minute, and then he turns that off, and you're practicing, and he's like putting it, and then some music comes on. It's really good. It's really, really cool the way he does it. So you can use music, and if you know music well, it'll be a strength for you. There's, are you guys familiar with Spotify?
Yeah.
I mean, $10, $12 a month. They have, if you get good at Spotify, you can tap into like the yoga genre, and yoga teachers in San Francisco publish their playlists. You can go on there, not steal their playlist, because it's just music. We're all paying for the use of the music through something like Spotify. Somewhat paying, you know, not much, but somewhat paying. But you could just download the exact playlist that the top yoga teacher in New York City played at their class and play it in your class the next day. And in my opinion, you don't have to say, I downloaded this on Spotify from the top yoga teacher. And the music is the music. It's not the yoga teacher who wrote the music and recorded it. They just put together a playlist, and then they published it up on social media there, and you know. So it could that in and of itself could make you a popular yoga teacher quickly. Just learn that Spotify and go on there and look at what other yoga teachers who have 15 years of experience in music and yoga are playing, and then just play it. You don't have to say anything at all. People will be like, love the music in your class. And you're like, thank you. I go on Spotify. I get inspired a lot there. You know, that's it. It's fine. Okay, asana demonstration. You do not have to demonstrate asana. But if you do, the best way to do it is to stop the flow. Stop the class and say, everybody stop. And here's how I want you to do headstand. You know, you guys, everybody come off the mat and gather around. I want your hands like this, not like this. I want this down here like this. I don't want your elbows here. They're right underneath the shoulders. Then the head is in contact with the arms. So if your head's not touching your arms, this is not right. You've got to get the arms in. Then you walk into dolphin with your head on the floor. Then you walk forward as far as you can, and then you start to come up. So you make everybody stop doing whatever they're doing, even if it's warrior two. And in Iyengar yoga, asana demonstrating is the way that they teach. It's like you go to a class, and the teacher's like, okay, very good. We're going to start with warrior one pose, and everybody come around and watch me. We're going to step the right foot exactly to the front. It's going to point straight ahead. The left foot is at an exact 60-degree angle with the heel of the front foot in line with the heel of the back foot. We start to bend this knee, and we square the hips forward. Then we bring the arms up over the head like this, and we try and square the chest forward by drawing the right rib cage back and around. Look up slightly with the hand. You know, you just stop everybody. They demonstrate now and say, now go back to your mat and let's do it. And then they talk you through that. That's the way yoga teaching was in Iyengar. The teacher demonstrated the pose, exactly what they wanted. Everybody had to stop and not do it. Then you go back to your mat and you do it. In flow yoga, that art has been lost. We don't. Do you ever see the teachers demonstrating?
Yeah.
But they're in their own mat. They're on their own mat. And they often are just, it's done in a casual way where they go, you do it like this. You put the foot over and you lift yourself up and, you know.
I went to this class in South Miami, which was Vinyasa Flow, and the instructor was really into demonstrating, like getting people to gather around. And I feel like it's helpful, yeah, but at the same time, like, he wasn't like mindful, so like went 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and then I was like, oh my god.
See, I don't think you can call a class like that Vinyasa Flow.
And it's Vinyasa.
I don't think you can call that Vinyasa Flow.
It like kind of disrupted.
It's more like a workshop, like a posture clinic, you know. It's very disruptive to the flow. It's hard to get that grooving feeling. You know, and when you guys, on like a Monday or Wednesday night class, or a Tuesday, Thursday, when you go to like Sharon, or when you go to Amy or somebody's class like that, after you get done listening to that music, and nobody's messed with you, nobody's stopped the flow, you've worked out really hard, and you walk out in that nighttime, it's fantastic, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's really, it transforms. You don't get that if it's like a posture clinic class. The lights are on, I'm going to show you how to do the poses. So it's just two different kinds of teaching. I'm not saying one is good and one is bad, but know that one has one effect and one has another effect. So there's a time for both of them, okay? So asana demonstrating I consider to be different from practicing along with the class. What teachers practice along with the class? Amy does quite a bit. She's so fit. How many classes does she practice along with? I see her in the morning classes. She'll get a lot in on her own, you know, and she can still talk, and she'll come off her mat, and she'll assist. She'll come off her mat.
I'm sore after her class. Like, I'll be sore for 2 days.
That's good.
I love it.
That's awesome. That's
I
good.
was taught before, though, that not to demonstrate asanas to the students when you're teaching them, and to rely on your words into pulling them into the poses.
Okay, well, yeah, that's, again, this is two different things. So, asana demonstration, I don't think anybody would ever disagree that if you're going to make a point, like when I did the demonstration last weekend of the shoulder stand and the head stand, right? Mm-hmm. You saw me demonstrate. Like I made you guys stop. I took off my shirt. I got the blankets. I showed you guys my neck. I told you where to go around. That's demonstrating. So if you really have to teach, you have to do it at that level. If you really have to make a point about alignment. Because even after I did that, I went around and some people still didn't have this part up off. They were like, oh, this goes away. And I was like, Jim, putting my fingers underneath. And they're like, oh. So even after the demonstration, it takes that much to kind of learn this body awareness. Now, the second thing is practicing with the classes. And you're right, you can get a little bit into a rut where you can't not practice with the class. And that's not good because the students don't practice if you don't move. You know, you don't want every move that they do to be dependent on you doing it perfectly. And plus the fact, if you're trying to practice with the class, you're trying to keep it moving. Maybe you have your feet apart, maybe you're like, bring your arms up, and you're like this. You can never do that. That's going to show that it's okay to stand in mountain pose like this. So you're going to have to do it right every time and demonstrate the excellent form. And you might not be able to do that for every class that you teach. So yeah, you don't want to get stuck in having to do every class, with the group. So practicing with the group, it can be done, but it's not really that satisfying to the teacher. Like when Amy does that practice in the morning, is that the same as if she would take a class? I guarantee you it's not. And why? Why is it not the same? So you have to talk, and why does talking make it different from taking a class? You can't do the breath all the time through your nose, so you don't get all of those benefits that we talk about. You have to stop and say, yes, when you do this pose, da, 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 yes, good, over there, yeah, you have to talk, then you go back in. But your own breath has been disrupted, and so it's never going to be as satisfying for the teacher. You can start to feel a little bit better. If you feel horrible, you can do a few sun salutations with the people and feel a little bit better, but it's never going to be like doing your own practice. I had a class one time for many, many years, for like 8 years, maybe even a little longer. Sunday morning, 8 a.m. That's early. So I told the class from the very beginning, and I had different people after 8 years, obviously, but I said, I'm going to practice with this group. It was a 1-hour session. Because at Sunday morning, I don't feel like walking around and teaching, and I need to exercise and move my body. So I learned to teach a class where I talk very little. And it helps if you have mirrors. It would be like this. You would do this, and I would face this way. And then I can keep an eye. See how I can see all of you through this mirror? I don't have to turn around to say, you know, Ariana, put your left knee down, you know. I can just look at you like this. So that's good with the mirrors. And I would do my breathing, and then we would do the same sequence almost every time. We would do the sequences almost exactly the same, so that people got used to the sequences. But what happens is the teacher starts to attach. I would get attached to doing my breathing, and I wanted to feel good. And then here comes a brand new student who's just joining yoga. And they're like, first of all, they'll put their mat way far away from you. And then you're not talking and verbally guiding the class. And they'll be like, why isn't the teacher talking? You know, this is weird in here. What am I supposed to do? So I got a little bit better at doing that. If I saw new students, I would put their mat right next to mine. Instead of letting them go there, I would put their mat would be right here. So that if I was like this, I could just be like, right me down. And they were right there, and they could do it, you know. But the other thing that happens is if you get set on a class being like a silent class, and somebody doesn't know what they're doing, it'll seem like you're angry. If you're not talking, they'll just be like, and they'll be like, why is the teacher so angry and not talking? You know? So you have to smile at the people, you have to like smile on this and be like, look, make eye contact and smile. That's what really taught me to smile at the people and look them in the eye. Because otherwise, and people think I'm more serious than I am. My facial demeanor is like serious, you know? So they're like, he's angry. And I wasn't angry at all. I was just trying to do a class without talking. So it's tricky. I don't recommend it. In the beginning, when you guys teach, as I taught you guys the very first weekend, if you have to say, stand at the front of your mat with your feet together, we're going to bring our arms up, we're doing our sun salutations, inhale, exhale, forward, I don't mind that. And go through inhale, forward, exhale, step back, lower down. But when you get into downward dog, you can come out of the pose and give some assists and walk around, okay? Don't stay in downward dog. When you're teaching your classes, I don't want everybody in downward dog, you guys facing that way, and you to be like this in downward dog, facing the other way away from the people. I don't want that. I want you to stand up at that point and give some assists in downward dog. Say, now, spread our fingers apart, ground down through the palms of the hands. Whatever part of the body is touching the floor, press down into that part of the body. Straighten your knees if you think you can. Relax your neck, shake your head. I want you saying this stuff up here. Then you can come back into it and say, now, step your feet forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale down. Inhale, come all the way back up, and then you can resume it right there and demonstrate, and then exhale. So it's okay to move with the people, but you don't want to get caught up into having to do the whole class with them, or else they can't move.
It's almost like you're relying on just demonstrating them instead of relying on your cues and how to verbally.
It restricts you as a teacher, no question about it. It's not as good. Okay, assisting in physical adjustments. You guys like them? We're going to be doing a ton of it. Can be incredible if done well, can be disastrous if done poorly. Light touch adjustments distributed evenly among all students is best, that's the safest. So, Gabby, go into Warrior 1 for a second. So light touch assist is like this. She's in Warrior 1. I would go something like this. Hips are square, front knee is bent, arms are straightening up. You know, you're just touching very lightly like that. It's not like going in there and going, turn the hips, move this, you know, lift this up. Nor am I getting in there and like, you know, doing some major, you know, which can be good, but you got to know what you're doing. So but you're gently touching the students a little bit, showing them how to square the hips, draw the shoulder back. That's really about the best thing that you can do. Now, here's how you're going to learn to assist. So at 3, and I'll maybe give you guys a little break before Arbe comes. My friend Arbe is coming. You know, did I introduce you to him? He is so damn cute.
That's the
Yeah.
Is that the guy who does the assist that popped in one day?
Yeah. You're going to love this afternoon. He is a genius. I think he's the best at assisting in the world of yoga. And he tries so hard. Like he works, like I give privates, you know, and in my privates, I might give 5 or 6 assists in a 1-hour private. Maybe, some of my people, maybe I give more like 15 or 20. He basically does the yoga for you. The whole class, he's like massaging you know, it's incredible. So he's going to teach you a lot. Then Joey's going to do an assisting workshop with you later, but you will have already taught. So here's how you're going to learn all the assists. You know these days that we have the 3 classes each day? Here's how it's going to work. You're going to all take 2 classes and assist 1 class. Okay? So when you teach, when you're the teacher, you won't have 17 people, except for maybe somebody might, because they might have the class where everybody is. But say the first class of the day, and I don't get to take either of the first 2 classes. I only get to take like the 3rd class. Because the first class, I'm going to do assists. So we're going to line up, we're going to split in groups of 2. And the teacher is going to teach, say, 8 people, right, or 9 people. And then 8 of us are going to be the assistants. And I'm going to do the assist on you guys each time. And so are you. You guys are just going to follow what I do. So basically, you're going to have an assistant assisting you for the entire class. And the person you're going to learn so much more about assisting that way. And number 2, you're going to love that class. And then we switch. You'll see, I'll go down the line. I won't be one person on one person the whole time. I'll work with this person, then we all move down the road, and you work with the next person, and then you keep moving down the road. So all of us assist each other the whole time. And by the end, you'll know so many assists. So many. So that's the way we learn the assists in here. So it's going to be good. It means, though, that you don't take all 3 classes. One of them you assist. And also, if you wanted to, if you weren't feeling it, you could assist for 2 and just take 1. If you wanted to. That's always acceptable too. So you'll know so much more about assisting by the end. Okay, connecting with the students. I want you guys to make eye contact with the students. I like it when you use their names. There's some other things that we talk about. I think in another lecture here. Outside noises. There's almost always going to be noises coming from outside the classroom. You guys familiar with this?
Yep.
That drinking fountain in there. You familiar with that?
Yeah.
Or you never hear it? It's ruined for you now, so you'll hear it.
Oh,
It kicks in final relaxation, doesn't it? A lot. Phones do go off. You know, fans make noise. People make noise.
People
People get up
walking late.
early and leave. People slam the
As a
door.
yoga teacher, if somebody has their phone like on the mat, I hate that. Can you
Yeah, I know.
can you bring it over there?
You're the boss.
But I think that's
You're the
what's
boss.
so nice
But
about
in
it.
this studio, you'll see the culture that we allow it.
I
We allow it.
know.
So you'll get to be known as the teacher who doesn't allow the phone. Now there'll be people who like you because of that. There'll be people who like you about that, and then there'll be people who don't come to your class too. So there's pluses and minuses. I always say, I mean,
There was a woman in my class right before this one, she like down like this. It was like, while we were all
You're
practicing.
trying to teach.
They do, but what if this is the circumstance?
Per kid.
Their kid is sick. They know they need to do yoga, so they leave the kid with the dad. And they say, text me if anything comes up if you don't know what's happening. And the dad shoots a text like, hey, she's got a fever, I just checked it again. I mean, would you rather they come to yoga or not?
No.
As a studio owner, somebody who makes money and somebody who pays a rent, I guarantee you, you want them there. You want that paying customer on that mat, even if they're texting. It's all I can say is somebody probably taught you that that's not yoga.
No, it's my personal.
It's your personal opinion. So that's fine. As a teacher, you're the boss.
You know? Like,
To
Yeah,
me,
it's
I mean,
technology.
believe me, I've taught so many yoga classes with so many people. To me, I do not care about it whatsoever. It doesn't make any difference to me if somebody's texting or if a phone rings. I do not care. And in a way, that's kind of good because people do sneak texts. They do, and somebody does forget to turn their phone off. So if you get to be the yoga teacher who says, hey, guys, I would really appreciate it if we'd all just turn off our phones and put them over there. Somebody's going to forget to turn off the phone. Ring, 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 and you're as a teacher are going to be like, with whoever's phone that is, please go to it and turn it off. And they're going to be like, I'm never coming back to this class, you know. So just play it however you want. It's a free world. You're the teacher. You get to say. But all I'll say is, once you get to be a professional teacher, especially after you own a studio and you need students, you become much more forgiving about coming late. You need customers. And I've always been just super successful at having the most amount of people as anybody on Miami Beach. When somebody comes in late, I just give them a hug, find a spot for them, put their mat down, no judgment whatsoever. And that is so rare. That is so rare. Some people don't like it. If it's not you, Janelle, don't be like that. I'm not saying you have to be like me. Be yourselves. But for me, it's worked out great. That's the way I play. And if you don't want if you're maybe more of a stickler for the rules, that's okay. Like I say, certain people want that too. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so outside noises come around, and you can play it three ways, basically. You can ignore it. Just stick with dharana. Remember, dharana is concentration. Just stay teaching the class. But if it's so loud as to the point where it's almost kind of ridiculous, like say somebody's just jackhammering for like 45 minutes, and there's like now is a 900-pound gorilla in the room, and you're not acknowledging that there's just this whole class has been a jackhammer class. You can play that two ways. You can turn that into the yoga and include that as part of the moment and part of the spiritual teaching. Like you can just at a certain point say, "Do you guys hear something?" No, that's actually the second way to play it, which is to use humor. The best way, if you can think of something funny, like if it's been going the whole time and you haven't said anything for like half an hour, you're like, "Do you guys hear something?" If you can make a funny out of something, you know, like sometimes a bunch of Harleys will roar by, and certain people are like, ah, and I'm like, they're just going to yoga class, okay? They're on their way to yoga. You know, you say if you can make it light, it just heals the whole situation. But if you can't, you can just say, hey, are you ever going to be able to avoid noises, disruptions, distractions? No. So let's just use that as a reminder to breathe. Every time you hear that noise, take a deep breath. And then it becomes almost a blessing in disguise. You got to turn it around and turn a negative into a positive spin somehow like that. That's the way I usually play it.
I think what you did on Wednesday, the class during our Shavasana, the class here was playing loud, heavy metal.
Right.
Which was really distracting for me personally.
Right.
I like quiet during my Shavasana.
Yes.
And you turned on the vibrational music. That
And
like
the
just-
high,
Yeah, drowned out the music.
I think first I said a little joke, right? I said I think it's heavy
But
metal
it
night
worked-
over there.
That worked for me, drowning out that music.
Yeah, that's good too.
How is that?
turn the home on real loud. The home.
They're binaural.
Yeah.
I like the music. It's awesome.
Huh?
The music was great, but it's not during my Shavasana. It's Shavasana.
Class the next day.
Oh, is it Rocktober again? Oh, it's Rocktober. I got
It
it.
was brunch day for her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
That
was
explains.
I was in my
I
Shavasana.
love Nirvana, so, and I was like,
All right, let's keep going. We're keep cruising through all this stuff. We're getting a lot done. Okay, page 74, your voice. This is a part of the lecture called Communication in Yoga Teaching. Vary your cadence of words, change your tone. Can you guys drop into a bossy kind of thing?
Yeah.
That's not bad in yoga teaching. Bossy voices can be kind of good to get the class going and be like, okay, please, let's get the class going. I said stand at the front of your mat. Oh. You know? Throwing in a little please every now and again is good. Elaine taught me that because she's a little bit clipped with her British accent sometimes, a little bossy. But she's like, front of the mat, please. She at least throws a please in there, you know, so that can be good. But you don't want to have that bossy voice in final relaxation.
Yeah.
I said relax. Yeah, that's just super weird. You have to be sweet then. You have to be, so you got to vary your, learning student names. This is actually crucial to the business of yoga. I talk about this in the lecture which we're going to have about the business of teaching yoga. Learning students' names is so important. So, one way to play it is, I've seen teachers do this, hand out name tags that they have to write their name on, and then they put their name tags on their mat. Not here. This is degrading. Right? This is no, yeah. But say, would you mind if I write your name down and I put it on your mat? And you'll learn their name after 2 or 3 classes, and then you can remove it or whatever. But I don't think people really mind that. That's a good way to learn the student names. Like we did, we played that name game. You can do that in classes where everybody goes around and at least says their name. That's good. People like that. Introducing yourself over and over again. Sometimes going to the list on the computer, review the names right before you walk into the class. Often I'll do this. Right before I walk into class, I'll take a look at that list. And I'll be, oh, I forgot that guy's name. Yes, that's Rhonda. That's Jim. Yes, okay. Because they won't come for like 8 months or a year. And they're like, hi, Paul. And I'm like, hi. I have a very bad transfer from short-term to long-term anyway. So you just got to do your best. Just keep trying. They really love it when they know their names. I wrote down a bunch of words. This was way back when. I wrote this a long time ago. But I got into it. And I just started to think about all the words that you could use to describe actions. Pump, pulsate, pop, rotate, raise, return, release, round, rebound, relapse, ripple, reach, ripple your spine. Ripple your spine. It's great. Reach with your right hand. Root down through your legs. Rock and roll up to a seated position. Rub, sink, soften, smooth, send, slip, slide, suck your stomach in. Submerge your belly underneath the rib cage. Step, steer, stretch. It's just fun words. What you're going to find is that you're going to resort to saying habitual verbal patterns. You're going to probably start to set up poses and in the same thing. And it's going to sound like this. And now go into warrior 2. And now open to warrior 1. And now vinyasa. And now raise your right leg up. And now come into warrior 1 on the other side. And now open to warrior 2. And now you'll hear yourself saying this. We all do it. We all do it. Just, if you're going to become a professional teacher, very much endeavor to expand your vocabulary. It makes it more interesting. It makes it more fun. You're more descriptive. Then your verbal cues are so much more interesting to hear. If you're not always just saying, suck your stomach in, suck your stomach in, suck your stomach in. I said suck your stomach in. That's the only way that you can describe Uddiyana Bandha. That's the only way.
Metaphors is sometimes good.
Yeah, so we get to that in these too. Yeah, there's metaphors too. Sanskrit words. Oh, by the way, I got to make a copy of that page 19, and I'll give it to you guys tomorrow, and we'll cover the Sanskrit words tomorrow. Do you believe that the yoga teacher should use Sanskrit words in the yoga class?
Yes.
Who says no? So everybody agrees. Now, is that going to be a problem for you guys? Do you know many Sanskrit words?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you the trick of it. And here's the question on the final exam. The question on the final exam says, name 7 poses in Sanskrit.
7?
Yeah, 7.
I thought we had to learn all.
No, name 7. Then you will know how to say 7 words. Then when you go to teach your class, you will say, come into mountain pose, Tadasana.
Oh, Sabastiti?
Samastiti, that's also fine. Now we're going to go into half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. It makes you sound like you've been teaching for your whole life. It makes you sound like you know every one, but you're only choosing to say it's the trick. Then as you go along, learn more. Just keep there's several yoga books. This is not a great book for learning Sanskrit. The words, the way that I broke down the Sanskrit vocabulary, isn't great. But there are books that you can buy that say downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana.
You can just look it up.
You just look it up, but you basically, if you become a yoga teacher and you say, I'm going to learn the name of one new yoga pose every day, at the end of a month, you're like reeling off Ekapada Rajakapatasana.
I think it's a great thing, like for now, we learn the first 7 and then
Again, in the amount of time that we have together, my goal is to get you introduced into what yoga is and also show you what non-dualism is and the real spiritual aspects of yoga. And decent amount, but it's just, we're just skimming the surface. 7 words, fine for me. The understanding you're going to learn more, it's the work of a lifetime. You can study Sanskrit. My ex-partner, Fred Bush, he really loved speaking foreign languages. I personally am not that interested in it. But he learned Sanskrit. So he would teach Devanagari how to write the characters and the different vowels and the consonants, and he would spend time, and you had to be like, nyam, 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 dupta, dupta. You know, it was like, and to me that was just, it was in a 200 hour, the first time that you, maybe in a 500 hour, yes, I say go further, but I just did not see the point. I want you guys to have some practical knowledge to make your class as good as possible right when you walk out this door of the first. So the Sanskrit, it's a beautiful language and it's amazing, and there's a depth of learning the whole language. Like most of you guys know other languages anyway, so you can study as much as you want afterwards. Okay, chanting mantras. Do you see yourself chanting mantras?
Yeah.
Okay. Next weekend you'll be chanting a lot of mantras. Do you see yourself teaching mantras in your 1 hour class? Okay, perfect. I love that. Like I said, if we're not familiar with it, you owe it to the people to define what it means. Mantras can be in Sanskrit or English. In Sanskrit, the meaning should be briefly explained. In Sanskrit, remember, they don't have any meaning. It's not intellectual. So if I say Om Namah Shivaya, it means may ignorance be destroyed in me. Most people go, okay, cool, I can go along with that. But if you say, we're going to chant the mantra, which is, all hail Jesus and the Mother Mary. Okay? Let's begin. All hail Jesus and the Mother Mary. You know, you're going to have people who are okay with that, and you're going to have people who go, this guy's crazy and I'm never coming back. You can't trust this person. This person is not trustworthy. So that's the problem with chanting mantras in English where you know the meaning. Even though it's beautiful, I mean, why wouldn't you say, hey? It's just like saying, hey, Ma, Durga. That's hail, the feminine. Mary is the feminine divine of Christianity. So it's just like Ma, what we say, or Durga, or Saraswati, or any of the feminine divine in that language. And then, Jesus, it's just like saying Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. It's like Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. But it means something different to us up there. Oming can be in the beginning, middle, or end of the class, and it unifies the group. It opens the heart and the throat chakras, and it puts the students into a heart space. It puts good bookends on a beginning and a middle, a beginning and an end of a class. It raises a vibration. It integrates all the chakras. It's got a lot of benefits. Do you guys like oming in the class? In my opinion, every class should have at least one om. I go to classes now, and in New York, they're not into it.
I know that bugs me. They don't ever own their home.
They're worried that there's a lot of atheists or scientists there who are just like, hey, that's a threat to people's religion. What if they don't want to say om? What does it mean? You should, and the teacher should explain, hey, this om, it doesn't have to mean anything. Don't say it's the first cosmic sound, because that puts it in front of Jesus, for a Christian person. Or the Kabbalists, they might say, no, we were taught in the Kabbalah there's another sound that was first, So don't give it any meaning. Don't say it means this or it means that. Just say this is a way that we raise a vibration. Dedicate it to somebody that you love. If you don't need it for yourself, that's great, but maybe somebody else needs that good love. So as you chant Om, vibrate in your heart and see somebody else as being healed and happy and healthy. That, I mean, who could say no to that?
Some people just don't do it anymore.
Some people just don't do it, and is that a problem? That's also no problem. Even if you have a class of 10 people and only 4 of them do it, it's still fine. I think it's fine. So, how many ohms do you like?
3.
I like 3. 1, it leaves me feeling a little bit, it was good, but maybe we should have done a few more. And also 1, the problem is, if the room doesn't unify in the first one, it's like, then you're like, namaste, and everybody's like, that was weird. You know?
I like the
So, the sea of ohms is fun.
Yeah.
Now, as with regard to ohming, remember we talked about, I think we did talk about this. Some people think it's A-U-M, where the A is pronounced here, the U vibrates up here, and the M is at home. So you'll see some people who are like, ow. So again, if that happens to you, I never correct anybody with their ohming. The other thing that you'll find is there's some people who put the same kind of masculine energy into ohming as they do like doing the forearm stance. So they're like, oh, you know, it's like sometimes if that happens and it gets really weird, I'll be like, let's all bring it down, almost like a whisper.
Almost like
And then everybody's like, ohming can get crazy, but usually it's really beautiful. I think 3 is good. If you're running out of time, you can do 1.
I like to start with 1.
Start with 1 and end with 3.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing to do because people are ready to do the sun salutations. Maybe they don't want to do 3 ohms at the beginning. I used to do a thing where we would start the warm-ups, you know, and if you ohm right in the beginning of the first part of the class and people are coming in late, there's still people slapping their mat down and you're trying to have this moment where everybody's ohming, you'll feel angry and annoyed at the people coming in late. Be like, shh. You know. So one way to play it is you start the warm-ups. Say you start your class and you do your warm-ups. Hi, I'm Shelly. Welcome to my class. I'm so glad you guys are here. Let's lay on our back. Let's do. I do this all the time. I just start very straightforward. It's not a spiritual beginning to the class, you know. We just start doing something. And the people who are ready, they appreciate that. You start right on the number or 1 minute after. You don't have to wait for all the stragglers. Somebody's already in the cat-cow. They want to move. You start. Then when you bring them up to a seated position like this or like this, like, you know, sitting here, or even when the first time they come to the mountain pose, say, now everybody, placing your hands together. It's beautiful that we carved out this time for yoga today. Let's dedicate an Om. And then everybody's settled into their spot. So you do the Oming maybe 5 minutes into the class, the first Om. You can even set the intention then, or the intention. Then you do a sun salutation, you come around. Then the second time I'd bring them all the way up again. I'd say, okay, dedicate this Om to somebody that you know needs some good vibes and healing. So think about them, see them as happy, smiling. Yeah. There's your second Om, and you've already done. You've already appeased the movement. They needed to move. It's not like, because I don't know. Have you ever gone into a class and the teacher's like, okay, sit down now. Now we're gonna set our intention. Now we're gonna Om, and you're sitting there for like the first 5 minutes, and the teacher's like doing all this spiritual stuff, and you're just like, okay, my butt hurts. You know, my back is it. Like, let's go. Have you ever felt that?
Yeah.
It's rare anymore. It used to be a little bit more, I guess.
But it's popular in Bhakti yoga.
You guys, this is the great Arbe. Let's give them a little round of applause. We're just finishing up. We were talking about Oming. So, yeah, watch out for, I want your classes also have to have an intention or a theme, okay? So it can be gratitude, or it could be getting a great workout, or just feeling happy, Or it could be something deeper like, forgiving or letting go of the past. But your class has to have a theme, and you have to spend a moment in the beginning of the class, whether it's right in the very beginning or after they've done some warm-up exercises, to say, okay, the theme of this class is going to be da 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 da. Okay, so you have to integrate that.
So
in.
the theme would be the intention?
The theme could be the intention. You want to weave that together. You could say the theme of this class is going to be letting go of the past. So set your intention that if something's bothering you, you're going to, by the end of the class, you're going to let that go. That would be how you put the intention in there. You'd set the intention for them then. Silence. I believe that silence should be part of every class where there's no music, no talking, and you'll need to tell the people, okay, we're going to be in silence now for 2 minutes. For sure at the end of final relaxation. So when you're teaching your class, and I don't want the music to go all the way to the end and you talking to the end. You turn the music off and bring people up out of it, or even forget to turn the music off and turn everything off and let everybody just lay like this. Just let everybody go. For like at least 1 or 2 minutes in final relaxation. It's profound. I believe it's very important. So the rest of this we'll go over tomorrow. I'm going to give him a short break. Okay? Now, this is a short break. He's going to start at 3. Or maybe he might start just a couple minutes after. So it's not time to grab a burger.